Hi, everybody. Welcome to our webinar on modernizing your land management workflows. We appreciate you coming. My name is Ann Taylor. I am the lead for the Esri tribal program. And today we are going to have a webinar. We'll be answering any questions that you might have at the end of the webinar. But if you look on the panel to the right of your screen, you can put in questions at any time during the webinar. We'll keep track of those and try to answer them for you at the end of the webinar. We'll also have some polling questions throughout the webinar, which we would appreciate you answering if you can. And then I also wanted to let you all know that we will be recording this webinar and we'll be sending it out to you by email in the next couple of days. Also, I'd like you to know that the presenters for today's webinar are Jason Fetch and Jordan Miller, and they both come from our state and local team. So Jason, I will hand it off to you.
Great. Thank you, Ann. Just going to share out my screen. Again, my name is Jason Fetch. I'm an account manager on the local government team out of the Minneapolis office. And before coming to Esri, I worked with tribal governments for nearly 20 years on infrastructure projects, including water, wastewater and irrigation systems, economic development projects, master planning, and of course, GIS. So as a tribal government, you already have access to the ArcGIS platform, and many of you are currently using many aspects of ArcGIS for tribal government. So today, the focus of this webinar is to highlight some tools and solutions related to land management workflows that are readily available to you, and also to expand the use of the platform to help you in your day-to-day workflows. So with this webinar, we're going to cover some topics, including just talking about some of the challenges for tribal governments and land records in general. Hopefully provide an overview of ArcGIS for land records, show and demo, talk about as well solutions to support various workflows related to land records management, field mobility, analysis, and constituent engagement. And again, there's going to be some demonstrations of these tools and solutions that are, again, readily available to you off the shelf. So let's talk about some common goals and challenges for tribal government. These have some commonality with local governments as well. So first off, maintaining the trust and confidence in the public, making sure that we're doing our jobs and doing a great job of managing the records to provide that trust and confidence. There are a lot of different systems, business systems involved, and especially in tribal governments, it goes across many jurisdictions, trying to give a platform and tools to bring some of those business systems together, making sure all of the data is current and accurate, and providing a better handle on the entirety of the data your organization needs. Keeping data current, transparency of operations, very important to tribal governments, self-determination and self-governance, providing some tools to help with that. Land valuation, making sure that we're getting good value for the land, managing leases. Other things that we're going to touch on are analysis, sharing data training. So we're going to try to cover a lot of topics here that are goals and challenges facing tribal governments. So first off, we're going to have a poll question. Okay. Let's give you a few more seconds to vote. Okay. Thank you. We appreciate your participation in our poll question. Let's start by discussing kind of the basics of GIS. And when we talk about GIS, we like to talk about it in three buckets or three areas of focus. A system of record that is the data needed to really answer the questions that are facing your organization. A system of insight that provides analysis to arrive at answers based off of those questions, and a system of engagement is communicating those answers to decision makers and citizens. So the system of record, this is the foundation of the GIS. This is the underlying authoritative data that GIS is built on. Some of the tools that are available specific to land records or government is the local government information model, which is a standardized data model specifically developed to allow greater consistency across local governments that share similar needs. So basically what it's doing is it's providing a common data model to organize your geographic information and deploy many of the ArcGIS for local government maps and apps that are found on the Esri solutions page, including those that we're going to be seeing later on when Jordan does his presentation. Another tool that is designed specifically for the system of record for land records is what is called the Parcel fabric. It's actually the ArcGIS Parcel editing solution that we refer to as the Parcel fabric. This allows you to create, store, and maintain all relative information about land records in a single unified data structure that also uses optimized tools to make parcel maintenance more efficient and less time consuming. The system of insight, this is the spatial analysis on the system of record. These are the tools that we use to extract useful information and more information to make better decisions. Some of the tools that you'll see demonstrated will allow you to get a better view into your system of record. Things like be able to show ownership type, possibly doing a information product that allow you to do fractionated shares, visualize that, maybe do some analysis to find some trends in the locations of where home sites are requested. Many different solutions and tools available for you to do a higher level of analysis on that system of record. A system of engagement. So the system of engagement is providing access to GIS data and analysis to a wider audience, decision makers, employees, tribal members, regulatory agencies, nonprofits, outside contractors. This is providing a doorway or window into your system of record and your system of analysis. Okay, we're going to stop here for another moment and put up another polling question. Okay, great. Again, thank you for participating in the poll. So we're going to talk a little bit about WebGIS. So WebGIS is what enables everyone to easily discover, use, make, and share maps from any device, anywhere, anytime. Okay, this is Enterprise GIS. This is WebGIS. This is how we take your system of record, system of insight, and have it support an entire organization. With integration, you're able to connect to dissimilar systems. So when we talk about enterprise or talk about a system of systems, what we're referring to is an enterprise is a system that connects dissimilar systems. And when it comes to tribal governments and information, there's a lot of different systems involved where information, critical information is housed. So with integration using either connecting, being able to connect directly to some of these data sources, or using what are called ETL script, which are extract, transform, and load, we can take data from TAMS or the county's CAMA system, connect that to the parcel editing solution, run scripting, and be able to produce specific information products to help your organization in their daily workflows, including maps, apps, dashboards, many different services like historical parcels, base maps, public notifications. So again, being able to integrate systems is the concept behind enterprise GIS. Again, the ArcGIS platform is intended to support your entire organization. And again, that's kind of the theme of this specific webinar, is to show other areas where apps, maps, and tools are available to expand the use of GIS within your organization. So WebGIS, the enterprise, allows you to not only connect your GIS professionals to GIS, but now the solutions that we're going to be showing allows you to expand that much further into other parts of your organization. When we talk about land records, we've bucketed the solutions into different phases of a land records workflow. So the solutions will support that workflow end to end. So we start with parcel management. We already touched on the parcel fabric a little bit. Here's where the parcel fabric comes into play, bringing in the ability to edit parcels, provide a high level quality control based on multiple data sets like high accuracy survey data and control, deeds, land records, legal descriptions. The parcel fabric is a great tool for managing your parcels. Moving into field operations, being able to use some of the field mobility apps to do work outside of the office and support a mobile workforce. Doing analysis, maybe hinged around valuation, being able to see and get valuable information on where you might have permits or leases or what the property value is, being able to visualize that. And then constituent engagement is a new piece of the puzzle, taking that information and making it available to your tribal members, maybe to your tribal council, to the citizens of the reservation. So the solutions you're going to see or that are available cover each phase of the land records workflow. A lot of this is powered by apps that are available to you through either ArcGIS Online or your portal. We're going to cover several of these in the demonstrations, but just want to make you aware there is a large number of apps that are available to support your workflows. Talking about parcel management, the tools provide an efficient workflow for you to collect, organize, and manage your parcel data. Again, many of these tools go straight to the parcel fabric, being able to take a legal description and verify the accuracy of the parcel boundary that's been created, high-level tools for editing parcels, being able to review that information. Again, many tools available to you based on or focused around parcel data management. And wanted to point out the PLSS, and I'm sure most people on this call are familiar with that, especially the BLM's. The BLM's Geographic Coordinate Database, the GCDB, that is actually managed within the Parcel fabric. So again, it's another another application where these tools help manage land data. So again, some commonality between organizations. All of this is built into the Parcel fabric as well as the local government information model. So for field operations, we would typically use the collection of off-the-shelf tools for managing, say, field assessments. I know it's very difficult. I know we always had trouble finding availability of certified travel appraisers. So being able to give some tools to the people that are doing that work to make their job more efficient was kind of key to being successful or completing that work fairly quickly. So there's some apps, again, some of these will be shown in the demonstration to support that workflow using Workforce for ArcGIS to manage tasks and assign tasks to appraisers, using Navigator to be able to optimize those tasks or routes getting to those tasks, being able to collaborate with Collector for ArcGIS to allow the appraiser to be in the field and to collect data specific to those properties and support the valuation of those properties, and an app called Photo Survey that will allow them to document what they're seeing in the field. For analysis, again, there's a suite of maps and apps to allow you to analyze, visualize that data, that system of record. Things like being able to use dashboards to see the value of the properties on the reservation, see how those values change over time. Being able to take some of the aerial photography, which is really important, especially for a tribal government, to see how things were in the past and how they've changed in the current day. Yeah, we touched on Photo Survey, but being able to just take that information, that complex information, visualize it in a context that can support better decision making. And the constituent engagement piece, again, trying to hit at that, maintaining trust and confidence in your stakeholders, in your public. There are quite a few tools that are available for that specific purpose, like a portal for people to find those applications, those data, those visualization, the maps that you are putting out to the public, finding or using story maps to be able to tell the story of that data, for you to control the narrative of the data that's going out to the public. This is a very important piece of what we do, making sure that we are living up to the expectations of our constituents, the tribal members, a suite of tools to allow you to do that. So from here, I'm going to pass the baton over to Jordan to provide some demonstrations of some of the tools and concepts that we have just discussed.
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate that intro. All right, so what I want to get started with today, and just to give you guys a little bit of context about some of the things that I'm going to be covering, is really being able to leverage WebGIS to expand on the effectiveness of your land management efforts. So, a lot of the solutions that Jason covered have some sort of WebGIS component to them. So, a foundational step in being able to leverage some of these different solutions is to be able to get some of your data on either ArcGIS Online or leverage it through ArcGIS Enterprise. For this demonstration, I'm going to be showing how we can get some of our data onto ArcGIS Online and begin to leverage some of these different applications and some of these different information products in an intuitive and easy to use manner. So what we're going to start with here is what we see is a very generalized property data set. We have some different property owners. We have them classified by either commercial, retail, park space, or residential areas. We also have some base information, including some of the different roads. So the first step that we're going to go through is I want to share this data to ArcGIS Online. So if we go to the File button and we go down to ArcGIS Online, we can, oops, sorry. If we go down to the Share As Data, and I want to share this data as a service, this is telling ArcMap that I want to go through the procedural steps on getting this data into ArcGIS Online to become a hosted feature layer. So we're going to publish this as a service, and we're going to choose ArcGIS Online because that's the account I have connected at this point. If you had Server or ArcGIS Enterprise hooked up, this would also be an option. We can give it a service name. So for this, let's call this demo. We'll continue. And we'll start to go through some different steps. So this is really important when you establish how you want to use your data. Now, if we conceptualize this as if we want to use our data as simply reference type data, maybe we just want people to, query that data or be able to visualize this in a story map or maybe an application. We can start to set up some of these feature behaviors. If we want our users to be able to leverage this data in any sort of field data collection capacity, here's where we would configure that. So in the operations allowed control, we can select to create, delete, query features, sync, and update. So for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to allow for the ability to create new data, delete existing data, query the data, and to be able to sync the data in case I want to take that data offline. We need to go through and we need to give this information summary and tags. Quick high-level description of what the tags are. Tags are what makes this data discoverable. So if you want to imagine this as using keyword searches in any sort of internet browser, if you're looking for something, you can type in keyword searches. The same principle applies here with these tags with your data. So if we apply logical tags to this data, the one we have in here is demo data, but I'll just replace this with land management. And so that way, if I wanted to search for anything pertaining to land management, we can add this and quickly make this discoverable for your entire organization. The next setting is the sharing. And I'll get a little more in depth on this as we go through some of the different applications, but this is where you can configure some of the initial controls to tell ArcGIS Online how you want this data to be accessed. Maybe you want to keep this personal, so only you can view it. Maybe you want to share this with some individuals within some different groups within ArcGIS Online, more of an internal application. Or maybe we want to share this out to the entire public. This could be applicable in the context of you want to use this data in a story map, or you want to use this data in some sort of web mapping application where you want the users to be able to go through and discover data, explore data, and start to see some of those different information products. But for now, we're just going to go with, I want to keep this private as my content. We can analyze this data, and if everything checks out, we can go through and we can click publish. So if I were to click publish, this is going to create a service based on the data that I have configured here in ArcMap. So I've already gone through this step, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sign in to ArcGIS Online. Here, with this step, I want to validate that the data that was uploaded is correct, has the proper symbology, and has that look and feel that I want it to have before I start to prep it in different applications. So I'll quickly sign in. And once this pops up, I'll go to my content. So if you're new to using ArcGIS Online, anything you publish As long as you have that named user account, you'll be able to see those published layers in your content page. So the layer I published is a land management demonstration layer. We can see it's a hosted feature layer. And if I go into here, I can start to see some of the really high level settings, and it will give me some additional control of that data. And that is essentially dictated by what type of end use I want this to have. So we can go through and we can see the different layers that I published. I published some roads layers. I published some parcels. And if I want to review that data, I can simply click in the upper right-hand corner to say open in map viewer. Well, if I click and open this in map viewer, it's going to quickly open this up in the ArcGIS Online map viewer. And here we can see the two different layers that I just published. So now we can see this overlaid on one of the Esri offered base maps. We can go through, and as with your desktop application, you have a number of different base maps that you can use that Esri provides to add some additional context to your data. This can be imagery if you would like to have an imagery overlay. It can also be other more reference type data, such as a light gray canvas if you just want some of the core structural features of that landscape. So a great capability of ArcGIS Online and WebGIS is the fact that it really supports discovery of data, and this is designed through pop-ups. So if a user were to click anywhere on any of this data, we're going to be able to see the core information that you would typically see in your traditional attribute table. But this is supported in a manner where we can use this web map to edit any attribute data. But if we're going to use this in more of a public setting, or maybe more of a purpose-built information product type setting, what we have the ability to do is to go on the settings of this layer and configure the pop-up. So that way I can make sure, as the GIS administrator or the GIS curator of content or what have you, I can configure the attributes that I want to be shown. And this is as simple as turning on or off the different fields that you want to show up in that pop-up. So for the purpose of this, and my overall goal with this web map is I want to create a property viewer. I want to see who the owners are of individual properties throughout an area. Okay, so some relevant information could be the parcel ID number. We could go through and start to find some additional information, so such as owner name and then owner address. So if I clicked OK and then click OK on the pop-up configurator, so now if I click this, I'm not overwhelmed by all those different attributes that we can see in the attribute table. I have a very specific set of attributes that I know I need to have available to me, or I want to make available to someone in the public. This can be very effective if you want to set up an application for internal use, where maybe the internal users would need more information versus the public user. So, and the same concept applies to a public use type application where we only want to show a certain set of attributes in case there might be some sensitive information. All right, so we got everything the way we want it to look. So what I'll do now is we'll hit save. So very simple step here. I'll click that. We'll add the tag so it's discoverable. I'll just include demo data. And we'll save this map. So one point that I would really like to make as we're going through this exercise here and looking at some of these different applications is, by and large, a lot of the solutions that you can find, whether it be on the solutions page or whether you want to create something using Web App Builder, or maybe you want to use Collector for ArcGIS, everything revolves around the web map. So the way you configure the web map is going to dictate how that information, how that data is going to be reflected within those different applications. And I'll show you why that's important here in just a moment. So now that we have our web map created and it's ready to go, we have the pop-ups defined the way we want to see them. I want to take that next step because my goal here is to create that parcel viewer, that property viewer that the public or our internal users can start to use. All right, so if I go back to my content, we have an option where we can create new applications. And for this, I want to use the web app builder. So for the web app builder, same principle, we can apply a title. We can add the tag. And as you see, if we use existing tags, they will be stored, and so we can add them again. This allows for some sort of standardization. So if there's things that fall into the same category, we can certainly apply those same tags. I can click OK. Web App Builder will open up, and what Web App Builder allows you to do is to go through and configure that web mapping application to most effectively portray the data that you want to use. There's a lot of great templates you can use depending on the type of data you want to show. And there's a lot of styling options that you can use in order to really personalize that or brand it with, you know, whether that be a tribe name or any other additional information. You can really start to use these different layout tools and styling options to most effectively communicate that. So once I pick the theme, I'll go back, and this is where I want to reiterate that point that everything really revolves around that web map. So it's going to ask you which web map you would like to use. And now we can see the land management web map that I just created. I'll click OK. So it'll pull that up as the web map that this web application is going to use for all the different data sources, all the different symbologies, you know, all that different pertinent information that you want to communicate in that application. The next step, it's as simple as choosing the widgets. So what widgets are is a collection of tools that we have offered through Web App Builder where you can apply different tools to this application. So if we're looking at this in the context of providing out a property viewer, there can be some different tools that we want to make available to our end users. One might be the print function. You know, we will want to have the base map gallery in case you want to change it from, you know, your standard gray canvas to an aerial image overlay. We would like to also add features like if you want to sketch up or draw. And then I want to have the layer list and legend included in this application. So as you can see, to configure the widgets, we can simply click on or off the widgets that we want to have incorporated into this web app. So I'll click OK. And as you can see up here in the upper right, now we have all these different widgets, so such as the legend, where I can quickly see all the legend information, or the layer lists, or we have some drawing options now, base map gallery, so on and so forth. It really provides that intuitive framework that allows that end user to, you know, make the most out of their time using this application and really get the most effective messaging you want from this application. So the next step, so since we have our pop-ups configured the way we want them, we have our application widgets configured the way we want them. The next step really is to preview this application. And through Web App Builder, through ArcGIS Online, and the fact that we're leveraging this WebGIS concept, is since there are so many devices that are on the market today, we need to be able to preview and see what this application will look like on different devices. So whether you want to see that, how it looks on an iPad Pro, or maybe we want to see what that looks like on the HTC 10, we can quickly go through and interact with this application in these different previews on different mobile devices to see if this is really the right look and feel for that experience we want our users to have. So I can go back and click configure, and we can even test this out by clicking launch and see on our machines what this is going to look like in pretty short order. So I can zoom in here, and we can be able to visualize where this data is. It's having a hard time because I haven't saved it yet. So we'll click save. And now we can go through and we can get an idea of where this data is. So if I go back, now we have this project saved. What we can now do is, if we go back to our content, we can now make this application public. So if the desired result is to have an application that you were showing ownership information of different lots or pieces of land throughout the community, we can leverage WebGIS to quickly make this product public. It's as easy as going to that application information and clicking share. So before, when I was configuring the data, we wanted to keep this private, limited to our own eyes only. But now that we have all the revisions done, all the styling done, we now want to share this with everybody. And if I click OK, it'll give me this pop-up, because when I published this data, I had set it to be private. So this is just going to confirm that you want everything to be updated to be shared publicly. I can click Update Sharing, and now it's ready to go. It is publicly available, and if I were to go to view the application, we can now see that all our information is available. We have all the different widgets configured. And what we can do, if we want to share this link out or embed this in a website or send it in email, what we can do, and I'll show you this just so you guys can see that this is the real deal. I'm going to paste this into the chat window, so you can click on that link that's in the chat window and actually go through and see that map and interact with that application. All right, so that's a pretty effective use of WebGIS to get information out to the public. But there's also one thing I want to demonstrate that's going to speak to the point of, that connectiveness of WebGIS. So since I used that web map I configured that web map to use this in the web application, we also need to support different patterns of use. So one pattern of use that Jason mentioned in his presentation was the use of field mobility. So as some of you are aware, I'm sure, Esri has Collector for ArcGIS, which is a field mobility tool that allows you to go out in the field and collect data. This can be point data, line data, polygon data in more of a geometry intensive or attribute intensive editing environment. So since I have created that web map, I can go through and I can see that web map will now be available in the list of maps that are able to be used in Collector. We can see my location. That's actually where I'm sitting right now. And I can go up here to this data. And now if we needed to create a new feature, or if we're out in the field and we want to validate any type of attribute information, it's as simple as clicking on that feature, whether you're using your iPhone, a tablet, or if you're using a laptop with supported versions of Windows 10, you can go through and we can change information like the owner name. So I'm going to go ahead and say that, oh, I need to make this editable. I apologize. We can go through and edit that information. And since I'll be editing it through Collector, since we're leveraging the same data sources in Collector as we are using in this web application, everything will be reflected in real time. Since this is hosted on ArcGIS Online and we're editing the same data in Collector as we're leveraging as a public viewer in this web application, everything is updated in real time and you have very accurate and robust data. So that's a small dose of some of the different tools that you have available to you with WebGIS and with the ArcGIS platform. A lot of the solutions that you can find in the solutions gallery, whether that be in the local government sector or any type of capacity you want to use this, whether it's public works or any type of land management. There's a lot of great tools in here, but they all leverage that same foundational data and that WebGIS concept. So With that, I would like to turn that back over to Noel.
Thank you, Jordan. My name is Noel. I'm with Esri, and I wanted to let you know that we have one last polling question. So we'd like to know how frequently you are leveraging the off-the-shelf solutions. We'll leave this up for a few seconds for you to answer. Thank you so much for answering. And here are those results. So, well, we're glad you joined us today, and I will actually turn this back over to Anne.
Great, thanks, Noel. Well, thanks again for joining us today, and I wanted to remind you that we've got 2 more webinars that we'll be doing, one in August and one in September. And you can see on the slide where to go to register for those up at the top. We'll also send out a copy of these slides so that you get the URL. And then there's also another URL that you can go visit that will give you access to the recorded webinars that we have also. I think next Justin Ogden is going to talk to us about the training opportunities.
Yeah, thanks for that, Anne.
All yours, Justin.
Hello, everyone. All right, thanks so much for that introduction, Anne. So I'm the training consultant. I work closely with Anne and others to collaborate with tribes to ensure that you're getting the most value out of your investment in GIS, specifically by making sure you and others that interact with GIS and your organizations are equipped with the right tools and education to achieve your strategic goals. So I just kind of wanted to highlight 2 specific resources, really valuable instructor-led courses that we host. Frequently, these are online classes that are offered throughout the year. So one is, we talked a little bit about that field mobility pattern, and we've got an entire course really devoted to modernizing a lot of very paper-oriented workflows using things like Collector, Survey 123, Explorer, Navigator, and the operations dashboard to ensure that everyone's using the same data in a way that's going to save you money and create more efficiencies. And then a lot of folks are maintaining your own land record information. So if you want to learn more about parcel management and specifically about the parcel fabric, we've also got an instructor-led course devoted to those workflows. I put my contact information here. If we haven't spoken already, shoot me an email or give me a call. Like I mentioned earlier, I partner with tribes to understand some of the knowledge gaps with our platform and build customized training plans that include these instructor-led courses and also help you navigate a lot of the e-learning courses that you have access to online. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you, Justin. Okay, so now I think we've got at least one question from James Darrow. And Jordan, maybe you can help answer this question. This question is how to make the ArcGIS information accessible to other staff who need to view the information but not use or modified. How do you set up a network system to allow this? Right now, I am the only one who can view my maps.
Okay, are we talking about this in the context of through ArcGIS Online, or are we talking about it through a file network share?
How about I'm going to unmute James so that you can ask the question. Hold on a second.
Sure.
Okay, James, I've unmuted you. If you want to explain your question, that would be great. Hello? Can you hear us, James? Not, I don't know if you're trying to talk or not, but.
Okay.
Oh, maybe.
Hi, everyone. This is, it says he doesn't have a microphone. Hi, everyone. This is Sarah Schrader. I also work with Esri, supporting local government. A short answer to start Jordan off for answering James's question is you have options, right? So we can work with sharing information on the database level on your side so that you can make it available for viewing and editing as needed. But the best way, the easiest way, is to leverage ArcGIS Online so that when you share that information in online, like Jordan was showing, there are capabilities within online to provide specific access to specific users, view only, edit only, etc. So you can organize that through groups. Groups are there to manage content for users, and then you can also manage the capabilities of those specific users. And a third part to this is through some of the options that Jordan was showing, such as the Collector app. Collector app is meant for editing specifically. So for those editors, they can securely access information and edit it, but in a way that you're setting up for that information. On the opposite side of the scale, if people only need to view information, then when Jordan was showing the parcel viewer, our property information viewer, that's a great example of other folks can edit that information, but not through the viewer app. So in short, you have quite a few options, but it's really surrounding, it's really a part of the ArcGIS Online organization and the options you have within there and within the different apps. Does that help?
I think so. Thank you, Sarah. Let's see. So do they need ArcGIS software, or does it use your online server? James, you could do either. You could either get an ArcGIS Online subscription, or you could get ArcGIS Enterprise, which would then sit on your own server. Okay, does anybody else have any questions? I think that's the only one that we've got submitted. Okay. Well, thanks everybody. We really appreciate you joining, and we will be sending out the recording of the webinar once we've got it in hand. And be sure to check on our other webinars that we'll be hosting in August and September. And also, we hope to see you at the user conference. If you've got any questions around the user conference, feel free to email us. And you can email me at ANNE_TAYLOR@esri.com. Thanks again. Hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.